I guess that was my biggest surprise, as well as the money. Hey folks, welcome back to the Big Barn Build. You have missed a lot. Fear not, we have filmed everything and it will be shared in a future video. But tonight I wanted to come out because it's still nice and light, and I'm going to give you the lowdown and the breakdown on the crushing of the concrete, how much there was, how much it costs, how much we saved, and more importantly, who guessed correctly. As you may have seen in previous videos, I've broken out the slab in that barn so we can get started on the groundworks, and that meant that we had this mountain of broken concrete, blocks, stone, everything we basically didn't want or didn't need here. But what we do need is crushed concrete, because we've got tracks, gateways, endless uses for crushed concrete, or just general aggregate for sub bases. So instead of paying to get all of that concrete removed and taken away in grab trucks, we found a kind of big commercial crusher contractor that could come here, bring us kit, and get all this crushed. So I guess the first thing to do is to give you the final total on how much there is here. And I tell you what, your guesses were quite varied. Let's put it that way. Now, the majority of the guesses were on the low end, so a lot of people guessing in the 100 sort of mark. I can tell you that unfortunately you're quite far out. There were a few really high guesses, but I'm not sure if maybe they were just very optimistic guesses, or people just having a punt. However, the grand total, based on measuring the width of the pile, on the average kind of width here, and the length, I can't remember the figures, I'd have to dig them out, but basically I measured the width, the length, average height, because in the middle of these peaks it's pretty much level, it doesn't go down too much, and of course the other pile down the other end, or the other two piles, and all of that put into an aggregate calculator and gave me the tonnage. It varied a little bit, but the one I'm going to go for is 475. So 475 tons of concrete and stone we've got here, which is insane when you think about how many bulk bags that would be and how much that would cost. But I've also got on here, so 475, I'll have to go down through the comments and I'll put it on the screen who was the closest, and we'll see if we can get some goodies out. Excuse the compost bin. Actually, perfect tripod. I guess if you were really equating everything, then we've also ended up with, I don't know, 50 kilo of reinforced steel that came out of here as well. But we'll stick with 475. So Carl, really kindly, after he saw the video, Carl's the guy who came and did the crushing. After he saw the video, he actually emailed me some figures that he'd worked out, not on the weight, but actually on how many loads and the going rate for pricing of recycled aggregate in our area, and also grab lorries taking away the waste. So the other option, instead of doing all this, was to just pile it up and get grab lorries to come in and take it away. We don't have the facility here or the machinery here to load a lorry. It's certainly not that size, so we would have had to get a grab lorry. Now, if we'd had 400, well, I've based this all on 400 tons for easy maths, so it would be, all these figures would be higher, but 400 tons removed from site with an 8-wheel grab, that only allows for 15 tons, I think he said, because it would need the grab on it. So that's a 15-ton load, so we need 26 loads, and he's priced it at £250 a load. And I'm sure there's deals to be had, but at that rate, we would have had to pay £6,600 to get everything taken away, done and dusted. That's 26 lorries going up and down here as well. So a bit of logistics there. But when you look at the fact that we need all this, and I think we do actually need all this to do what we need to do around the farm, we would need to buy in 400 tons. Now, if we were buying in basically what I'm sat on here, this is kind of type 1, it's more like, I think there is a type 2. Actually, one of my pet hates, this is a bit of going on a bit of a segue here, but a lot of people, so MOT type 1 is what normal sub base is referred to. That's like a 40 mil down to dust. which you compact, you know, as your sub base for a slab or a patio or whatever it might be. There is various grades, but MOT, as far as I'm aware, stands for Ministry of Transport. It's basically a standard of aggregate for road laying and road making. So when people start saying, I need a bag of MOT, I think that's the wrong terminology. And I see it all the time. We're just going to compact the MOT. So MOT is kind of the umbrella term, I think, because you can get type 2, and this is more of a, there's another code, F something I think it is, for this, which is basically 70 mil down to dust in recycled, and it's good for that sort of bottom chunk. We'll be putting a finer layer on top when we're using it for tracks. I think I should have enough for the actual 40 mil to dust stone from the barn, which will dress it nicely on top and compact better than perhaps this would. So getting back on topic, we would need to buy in 400 tons, or the equivalent to what we've got here, and if we were buying this stuff in, it'd be £16 a ton, which comes to £6,400. So basically that's what this costs if you were to buy it off me, I guess. And if we were getting that in stone, that'd be priced at £20 a ton, and that's £8,000. So I've got to use those two figures because we might have chosen to buy it in a stone, but more than likely we would have bought this in. So if you add those together, the cost to get everything removed, and then the cost to buy in the future, because we need it, that totals up to 13 grand if we were going to use recycled after, and 14,600 if we were going to get rid of the concrete and buy in stone. The cost of actually having the crusher here totaled, I think it was less than £2,000. That's including transporting that big crusher here, the machine itself, you know, his digger, and his big tractor to bring it all here. That was about £2,000. So the total saving by getting a crusher, a contractor to come in and crush everything on site, if you're able to use it afterwards and you don't need anything taken off site, we saved ourselves £11,000 getting this job done. That I had not anticipated. I mean, I basically thought by getting it crushed we would be saving the £2,000 or so. It would, you know, it's just like for like. But when you add it up, £11,000 saved. And if you were to buy, if the equivalent buying in stone was 12,600, and that's based on 400 tons, we've got nearly 100 tons more than that here. So it was a job well worth doing, providing that this isn't sat here for months on end. Hopefully, as soon as we can get the track all planned out, permissions and stuff, we've already got approval for it from the people who need to approve it for sensitive catchment and farming side of things. It just needs to go through on a formal application, and then we can actually get them, go down there and start getting that done. And I might have a bit of help with that. I might see if I can get someone to come in with a bigger machine. Maybe actually Craig might be able to do it. Between me and him and the dumper, I might hire in a second dumper. In Humpty Dumpty, he'll have a friend for the day, and we'll just have to blitz this. I mean, 40, what's our dumper's 4 tons? That's you know, 100 tons, 100 trips. That's probably a bit of a test for Humpty. So if we were to hire in a 9-ton dumper or whatever the next big size up, that might be well worth it. I don't know, they're probably a bit wider, but it should still be able to. We're doing a 3 or 2.8 meter wide pour of, or strip of concrete and hardcore, and then we'll get a road roller to get the barn done, but I'll have to get it back in again to do the track, because we may as well do it properly, get it nice compacted, and I'm not going up and down there with a Aldi whacker plate. Anyway, I know that's a bit of a theory type video and probably not the most exciting thing you're going to watch this week. However, it just surprised me, and maybe it surprised you guys as well. Anything like this is quite an eye-opener, because this, I guess this wouldn't normally be possible on a normal renovation or your extension or whatever. But that said, you can look into getting these small crushers. I have no experience with them, but apparently they're pretty good. They're tracked. You can get them down a side of the house into the back garden, and if you were breaking up a slab or taking down a load of walls, and you could crush your own stuff, apologize to the neighbors afterwards, and you'd have, you know, all the sub base you need to then do your patio, your driveway, or whatever it might be. And I'm sure it's the equivalent, you know, providing it doesn't cost too much to hire it in, it's well worth doing. And do you know, I've completely forgotten, what is the biggest, well, not the biggest, because, you know, the wallet helps as well, the financial saving, but the biggest takeaway from this is that it would have taken 46 trips with an 8-wheeler lorry, you know, the grab lorries and delivering, 46 trips from the local quarry or wherever the aggregate or the waste gets dumped or whatever, back and forth. So I guess you could argue that it's double that. Instead, Carl came here, one trip, one trailer, both machines on there. So from an environmental standpoint, the best thing we could have done is kept the concrete slab and worked with it. But we would have had to pour quite a lot of concrete on top of it to level things out, and it wouldn't have been the best route to go. That would have been the greenest option, use what's there. But the fact that we've been able to recycle it and reuse it, we've been able to save 45 unnecessary HGV trips, and also, you know, issues with traffic and neighbours and lanes and gates and dogs getting run over and all sorts. I guess that was my biggest surprise, as well as the money. Now I've got to wander out and do the checks out in the fields, but the other thing I wanted to leave you with is that, I mean, this might not come to anything, but interestingly, the manufacturer of that great big crusher that was in the video, Carl's crusher, the model was a Bison something, and if you want to buy one, I think they're about £150,000. But the manufacturer of those crushers got in contact with us just to say that they really liked the video. And I said, well, I had a look on their website, and they also do screeners. So it's basically taking, not quite that stuff, but, you know, we've got a lot of soil around the place, soil and gravel and also sand. And these screening machines are, I think, as big as that crusher, and they take it, and I assume you can adjust them, and they screen everything down. So this is all just soil. We're using this as subsoil, I guess. It'll all be leveled and compacted down a bit, and then we'll put some better soil on top. But remember, we're on sand here pretty much, so we've got huge piles of almost virgin clean sand that we're digging out when we're doing all these footings, but they've got the odd stone and stuff in there. So I'm wondering that, you know, subject to me chatting with the building officer, that I mean, this is a little bit soily, but this sort of sandy stuff, well, it is sand, we're hitting sandstone and we're having to break it up. Can we get this screened with a proper professional machine, and which would end up with not sharp sand, but kind of something in between building sand and sharp sand, smooth sand, that not for bricklaying or anything like that, but it should be fine for doing sand blinding underneath our DPM. And I haven't totaled it up in there, but 50 millimeters over 500 square meters, well, it's not quite that now, 400, is that 10 tons, 10 cubic meters? I don't know, but it's a good lorry load of sand we would have to buy in. So if we can get hold of a screener and hopefully an operator for it, we will be able to potentially use cleaner soil around the place. You can see the difference here. We've got sandy soil that's come out of digging the pool and digging some of the footings, and then where we were digging this trench this side, where cows have been grazing this field for a long time, right up against that wall over there, it's been green, there's been life. You can see what happens. So the darker soil here, we were digging it up, is actually nice stuff, but it's still got lumps and bumps in it. So if we can screen this end, this could actually be the nice topsoil. I'll get my lawn on that stuff in the future, so we won't have to be buying in more gear. But if we're going to do the screening, the other side of the barn, there is about 200 tons, that's my estimate, now I'm getting good at it, maybe 100 to 200 tons of subsoil, soil, rubbly stuff. You know, that secret courtyard hidden bit between all the barns? Now that's got to come out, because, well, we're working on it tomorrow. Tom and I are going to get digging. That could all be taken somewhere strategic, maybe below the barn here. We could set up a big screener, and all of that that could actually be sifted through, all the rubbish put to one side, maybe used as a bit of sub base somewhere, and all that should be much better soil, and I can use it. There's a lot of dips and lumps and bumps around the place, and it could be completely usable. So there could be another heavy construction machinery episode sometime in the future, but I don't know. It's all in the works at the moment. I'm probably gonna have to leave this video here, I'm afraid. So no action, nothing on the tools, but Joe is in the middle as I speak. Joe's editing the latest episode, which is our first 3 days on the build as Tim and Tom. We've kind of cracked on with loads of stuff. We've done a load of demolition. I'm not even going to turn the camera around because I'm being mean to you, but cladding's down, steels are down, trenches are dug, footings are getting done. It's all good stuff. Progress is being made. Bodies are achy, but it's going okay. Well done if you guessed somewhere near 475 tons. It's an awful lot, and you know, it was probably a bit too much for my little digger, or Speedy's little digger. So thank you to Speedy for lending me that nice digger. Unfortunately it was a new digger, and I've put 200 hours on it, and it's probably not quite in the same shape it was when it arrived here. One last thing I'm going to leave you with is we've got a load of videos going out soon on the farm channel, some quite interesting fun ones, some livestock based, some not livestock based. So if you want to check out that, make sure you go down in the description. You can find a link to the other channel, and again, Joe's busy editing on that as well, and you'll see Joe soon, I'm sure, because she is in lots of these other videos going on. She's the one that's getting all these videos out for you folks, so that's why she's not in the digger right now, in front of the camera. She's behind the camera doing all the hard work whilst I get to play. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.